Hey guys, what's going on? This is Brad from the Ed Army, and today we have a video for you here. Another Regulation Battle Volume 1 video is here, as I will be taking a break after this specific video. Not going to be a long one, guys. This is just going to be a short-term one where I build more content up, but at the same time, I have to do some things. So, taking a little break, but also taking care of some stuff in my personal life. So it's not going to be a bad thing. You're not going to be without content for too long. This is more like, also, I will be giving hints as I'm working on stuff while I'm taking my break. But yeah, after this Regulation Battle Volume 1 video, I will be taking a short break, probably maybe a week, or if I get something out sooner that I want to show up to you guys, I will send it out quicker so that you just have a chance to see everything. But we're going to be jumping into it, obviously, and as you can tell by the thumbnail, we are talking about the ancient Digimon that will be available as top ends for many of the decks in Regulation Battle Volume 1, as the 10 legendary warriors are not all going to be assembled in their original forms, but we are going to have a few of them, and we're going to let them be unleashed for you guys to play with. So as always, we're going to see what's good here, and we're going to start off with the red color, because there's actually, for the available ancient Mega Digimon, there's only actually 5 available, and 2 are in one specific color. Red only has 1, but this is a Digimon you may not want to be passing up on, in the form of Ancient Volcanomon, as Ancient Volcanomon does come in here as having an on-play when Digivolving to delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP, and then for all turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area, from this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards, you may return to the hand or play without paying the cost 1 level 4 or lower red Digimon card. Additionally, it has the Digi-Crossing requirements for -2 each if you have Grumblemon and Gigasmon, so you can play this for 8. I will say that for each of the 10 legendary warriors available, I do think Ancient Volcanomon's interesting for this format, more or less because you can plug in both Grumblemon and Gigasmon as hybrid for game, as well as Agunimon and stuff. So a lot of the kind of Agunimon red hybrid combination deck is somewhat available, so this could be your top end if you so choose. Although there are no Takuya Kambaras to really give this deck a high speed up, it does have the ability to search a lot of its level 4s in the form of the Flame Mons that are available, so you can decide if you want to play this. I do think of the options, this one's pretty good. I don't think it's the best, but it's because there are other red Digimon you want to play in this format, so do give this a look if you feel like. But more importantly, we're going to move into blue, as blue has probably one of the more unique and also usable of the ancient Digimon, that being Ancient Mermaidmon. So Ancient Mermaidmon, importantly enough, very much like its counterparts, as all of them will kind of be similar. They have on-play when Digivolving effects. For Ancient Mermaidmon, by returning you can return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to the hand, and then for each of your other Digimon, you add 1 to this level's effect, and then it can choose. So basically, as long as you have more than a 1, you're going to hit level 5s, and then if you have 2, you're hitting level 6s. This is obviously to synergize with the support for aquatic as well, so this works together. Additionally, during all turns when this Digimon will leave the battle area from this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards, you may return to the hand or play without paying the cost 1 level 4 or lower blue Digimon card, so very cool. And then it has the Digi-Cross of -2 for both with Lanamon and Calamaramon, so like the others you'll see, except for 1, you can hard play them for about 8, so that's kind of their, their just effect that they want to do. But additionally, I think Ancient Mermaidmon's strength is that it kind of synergizes, and it does synergize with Aquatic really well, but also just the blue hybrid support in the form of Calamaramon and Lanamon. So with this actual Digimon, you can decide how you want to play this, so you could play more of the blue hybrid Lanamon support with Calamaramon in order to kind of get this strategy going, but you could also synergize this with Aquatic, so you can use the Aquatic cards to bring more Digimon out, while you go ahead and use this as a top end to do some removal, but simultaneously also can refill or reload Digimon to your hand or play it out, so you can trigger other inheritables from other Digimon via that effect. So Ancient Mermaidmon is a very interesting card to look at. I do think you can deck build it in blue pretty well, depending on what you want it to do, because you do have to keep in mind one thing as well. This card does not specifically list Aquatic or anything like that, so as long as you play this in a blue deck or a blue type of strategy that can get at least 2 Digimon on the field, or 3, you can aim to go ahead and use the Ancient Mermaidmon's effect to start getting rid of level 6s and stuff. You just need to find a way to get multiple Digimon on the field. Moving into black, black actually gets a lot of power for the ancient Digimon because it has access to 2. So with cards that search for hybrids, you do have an advantage of finding them. So if you're wondering, what do you have access to? First, we have the BT. This is the BT. I don't get this right. This is the BT7, yeah, Ancient Volcanomon. So the BT7 Ancient Volcanomon carries the when Digivolving effect to Digivolve 3 on one of your opponent's Digimon. And then otherwise on deletion, it allows you to play one black level 4 or lower card with the hybrid in its traits from your hand without paying its memory cost. So the important factor of using Ancient Volcanomon is that it is just a Digivolver and it can self-replace itself. But having 13k DP is pretty solid in this format because you're actually outpacing a lot of the other decks in terms of attack and DP. So you only have to really worry about security bombs when you're running into security. Talking about the other one, we have Ancient Wisemon. This one coming all the way from BT18. This came with the other newer support for the other hybrid decks. For on play and when Digivolving, you may reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you get to play one black card with a play cost of 7 or less among them without paying the cost, and then you trash the rest. Then during all turns when this Digimon would leave the battle area from this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards, you may return to the hand or play without paying the cost one level 4 or lower black Digimon card. This carries the Digicross requirements of -2 for both Mercurymon and Sephirothmon. Okay, so I do think that Ancient Wisemon's a very good pick for a lot of black decks in general for a top end because of its ability to look at the top 3 cards and possibly play you any black card with a play cost of 7 or less. This is huge because effectively Ancient Wisemon is basically turning out anything that's not a it'll turn out most level 5s and lower, and then it misses maybe some level 5s and then level 6s, and it may be a few options, but the point of this card is that it gets anything roughly from the top of your deck and plays it. So this could be any Tamer you want, this could be any Digimon you want, this could be any, option you want, because it does specify black card. So, like I said, the key thing is, as long as it's 7 or less, which most of the deck will function as, this card is absolutely insane, because if you pair this really well with a lot of different effects, you're able to really get Ancient Wisemon going, because what Ancient Wisemon really wants to do for you is just tutor out more bodies. So you're going to have access to that. And then if you give this Digimon some pretty good inheritables, whether it's blocker, reboot, something, this card will be sticking around for a while. And then even if it gets deleted, you can play out one of your black Digimon from its sources. So it's very cool, very useful. And I think this card actually has a pretty good chance to really show up in the metagame, because in the Regulation Battle Volume 1 format, you're really going to be needing as many recruiters and or any way to just get more bodies to the field, because the game's a lot slower, so you're not getting like scrambles or anything. So in this case, Ancient Wisemon is another way to get free value, and it could set up your trash, which could be valuable for you if you so need. Just remember, this card actually fits into a lot of decks, but it can only play out black cards. So that is the key there. You just want to make sure it's in a strategy with mostly black coloring, and then it can really use its strength. But you can technically tech this in other decks if you want. Finally, we're going to finish off with green, where we have, I think, the best one for like deck building, and it's because it has one of the more powerful passive effects, as Ancient Troymon is our final Digimon for the video. As when we look at Ancient Troymon, I think this card has seen some play as like a tech in Megazoo, but it hasn't really seen much play beyond it. But the one from BT18 really does shake the battlefield, where during all turns, once per turn, when any of your opponent's Digimon suspend, you trash their top security card. Then, during all turns, when this Digimon will leave the battle area from this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards, you may return to the hand or play, without paying the cost, one level 4 or lower green Digimon card, Digi-Crossing, -2 of both Arbomon and Petalodramon. The reason I was talking about it like that in that format is just because, yeah, almost all the hybrid Digimon, even the other ones that we don't see in the format, all share that great all turns effect to return something and then play it, or return it to the hand. The point I'm trying to get across with Ancient Troymon is Ancient Troymon's strength is that in this format, this card can really mess up your opponent if you get it online quickly enough, because what Ancient Troymon really does for this specific strategy, or decks that want to build around it, is that Ancient Troymon can be aggressive with inheritables, but it's defensive and reactive at the same time. It kind of covers every base. So it's aggressive because having 12k DP in this format's pretty good. So with this Digimon, you don't necessarily need to attack. You could just kind of leave it on the field and let it do its job, because your opponent's going to have to attack you. They're going to have to suspend at some point. And once they do, whether it's during their turn or you suspend their cards on your turn, or vice versa, right? The key factor is you're going to be trashing a card. It is once per turn, but the point is once Ancient Troymon's on the field, it starts the clockwork situation, where now your opponent is forced to figure out, like, well, can I beat them with this thing on the field, or am I going to lose because it's on the field? It's one of the strengths, I think, of Ancient Troymon, because unlike the others, this one is able to simply, like, it doesn't have the ability to suspend anything itself, so you will have to rely on other cards. But there's a lot of suspension in the format for green, so this Digimon can really take advantage of it. Additionally, it can use Piercing to get its own checks in. And the benefit of this one, I think specifically, is that even if it dies, you can get the resource back, and it makes it stronger because this card really wants to just make your opponent waste time. So this card can also just sit on the field, like I said. If you pay it for 8 costs for the Digicross, leaving it on the field is actually pretty solid because your opponent might be incentivized to try to build up their entire raising space, the raising area, and have their battle area filled before they start attacking, because Ancient Troymon is a hard once per turn. But the point of Ancient Troymon for green decks is that this is a card you can play for either stalling tactics, you can build around it, or vice versa. This is just something you put on the top end because it isn't the worst of the cards to play in green, but also it has a very good floodgate effect to your opponent. Because I think maybe a lot of people may be underestimating that although the format will be, it'll still be kind of fast because there are decks that will accelerate, the advantage of this upcoming format for Regulation Battle Volume 1 is that it's going to be a lot slower. And because it's going to be a lot slower, cards like this can actually take the time they need to force your opponent to slow down. Because that's exactly what this card is. This is one of the few Digimon cards that's not like a direct Floodgate Digimon in terms of, like, you know, being a rookie. It's actually the boss Digimon, but it's forcing your opponent to play at your pace, which is exactly what this card really wants to do. Like, if you stick this next to a Argomon, for instance, from BT 3, I believe, that card and this card's kind of funny because, you know, you can get Absorption going, you can get the whole Argomon line online, no pun intended. That was just that. But the point is, Ancient Troymon backs up that deck very well. If you wanted to play like the type of Rosemon cards, because you have access to all of the different, you have access to almost every single Palmon, Togemon, and different like plant card you want to use. So this card can just fit into that because you do have suspension against opponent's Digimon, and when they get suspended, you're able to then gain memory back. So you can use Ancient Troymon more aggressively. So that's another thing too, is if you look at Ancient Troymon on your turn, it is effectively 2 checks for a few reasons. If it has inheritables to suspend Digimon, or you can suspend them, you will swing for its check. If you suspend something, then you have the effect to trigger the all turns effect, go ahead and trash your top security, and then this card will, you know, facilitate the attack and finish that attack, and then you've done 2 checks. So that's what makes this card really good. By itself, if it gets into play on your turn, and you have a way to suspend something on your opponent's field, you can do 2 checks to them and 3 checks between the 2 turns. So like I said, it gets you almost all the way there. Then you can finish them off with 2 attacks. The point I'm trying to get across for Ancient Troymon is that it gets the most spotlight, I think, because it gives green the most diversity to use it. And of the colors that exist in the regulation, oh, they're all the colors exist in Regulation Battle Volume 1. The point is, all the boss Digimon for the Ancients fit into a lot of the different decks, but they're not perfectly fit except for a few. So Ancient Troymon's one of the few that doesn't need to perfectly fit into a deck. It's just how do you use this card and what do you put around it to get it to do even more pressure on the opponent. That's why I really like it. But guys, that's going to be it for me today. I finished off with the Regulation Battle Volume 1 video because I'm going to be taking a short break. But obviously you guys will be getting content. I will be posting. It's not like the channel is, you know, taking a long break. It's just a short break for me to get some stuff done. But also, you guys know, or if you're new as well, we got tons of videos on here, a lot of Regulation Battle Volume 1 videos if you clicked on specifically because of Regulation Battle Volume 1. So go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and check out all my content on the channel because it is for all of you as you're a member of the Ed Army and you get to enjoy it. I did want to cap this off by saying thank you guys so much, as we've already passed 600 subs. And I know I already mentioned it before, but for those who are new or are kind of getting the view of this from just watching, I do appreciate it, as we're pushing higher and higher, as we're going to surpass the summits and pass those peaks, but we do it with your help and we keep on trucking. But guys, that's all I've got for you today. This has been Brad from the Ed Army signing off, and for all of you out there, to sign on.